Welcome, everybody. This is episode 1 of the No Sell podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jared. I have on Skype Mike and Nick, otherwise known as Geraldo Coyle and Scythe.
Hey, what's going on?
How's it going?
We are a weekly podcast that mainly deals with wrestling. This podcast is basically going to be focused mostly on WWE. And then also, we'll talk about some recent news, whether it be WWE, TNA, or any other indie stuff that seems pretty big to be discussed. So for this first episode, we're gonna kind of just go over this week's edition of Raw, Smackdown, and we'll just kind of like go over the week's news. So I guess we'll just kind of kick it off from Raw, from the September 23rd edition of Raw. So basically, Raw, if you guys have been following WWE since SummerSlam, Daniel Bryan's been in pursuit of the WWE title.
It's the big storyline of the moment.
Yeah, that's the biggest storyline. Triple H is kind of like formed, I guess you can kind of say he's like formed the new corporation, kind of like what Vince did back in the Attitude Era.
It's the corporation, but they're not calling it the corporation, even though that's what it essentially is.
And they kind of just picked Orton as the face of the WWE. But surprisingly, Bryan, they wrestled at Night of Champions. Bryan won clean. Or, well, not clean.
Well, it wasn't clean.
It wasn't clean. The referee did a fast count, but he won the belt, and like that ended the pay-per-view, which I was still kind of shocked. Like I
was pretty surprised it ended that way because honestly, with all the angles going into that match, I was expecting it to have like this totally fucking just overbooked finish with like the Shield and Big Show and Triple H and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And instead, like nobody interfered. Bryan just won clean, and then there was the fast count.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I honestly thought that Triple H would come out and like restart the match and Orton would win, but come to find out that the next night, Triple H strips the belt from Bryan, and actually he even said that Orton wasn't fit yet until he proved himself. So the title's technically vacant right now. If I'm right?
Yeah, the title is vacant right now.
It's being held in abeyance, as Triple H says. Whatever.
There currently is no champion.
Okay,
that's right.
Yeah.
So from this episode, this last Monday's episode of Raw, the week prior, Daniel Bryan actually got, what was it, like 10 or 11 of the baby faces to come out against the Shield, beating him down and Orton. So it was kind of like a stand-up to the corporation, if you want to say that.
Yeah, they're finally doing something with the mid-card. They got all those guys to come out. And
all the mid-carders, they had like, what was it, the Usos, the Primetime Players, Kofi Kingston, RVD.
Zack Ryder.
Dolph Ziggler, Justin Gabriel.
Oh yeah, Zack Ryder. Can't forget about him.
So they all came out to help Bryan. They're kind of like taking a stand. You're right, taking a stand against Triple H and the whole corporation. They're not going to stand for it anymore.
Yeah, they all helped Bryan, beat down the Shield or whatever. Orton did the typical heel thing. He escaped out through the crowd or whatever. But Bryan, and the rest of the guys, they beat down the Shield, and then the Primetime Players, they like hoisted Bryan up on their shoulders, and they were all doing the yes chant and everything.
Yeah.
Good moment.
It was actually like one of the first times that like one of the very few times that Bryan was actually, on top at the end of Raw. Most of leading up to Night of Champions, he got his butt kicked. Like
he got beat down.
Raw. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying he just like leading up to like the pay-per-view every week he would be left beaten down.
Yeah,
no one comes out to help him. Nothing.
It was the first Raw in weeks that didn't end with like Bryan just staring up at the lights, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like I was just like, wow, man. Like, okay. Well, anyways, so let's get to the this week's Raw. So Raw opened with the 10 superstars that helped Daniel Bryan the week before up on the stage, and you had Triple H and Stephanie in the ring. So basically, it's been speculation. Like Hunter was like cutting his promo. Being speculation on social media, like, what is Triple H going to do to these 10 superstars that helped out Daniel Bryan, because I mean, Hunter's been like kind of just like Brian is not a WWE champ. Like he's a good wrestler, but he doesn't fit that mold.
He's a
Yeah,
solid B.
And he just
He's-
kind of like uses the whole tagline like it's what I do what's best for business.
Yeah, which I think is so stupid. Like I really don't like. I really don't like that whole best for business angle gimmick thing he's doing right now.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can tell Triple H, he's just trolling the shit out of like the fans and the internet wrestling community. Like, he's having a ball with this, like with this whole
Yeah.
angle.
Yeah. Well, so while they're on stage, Steph and Hunter, they thank them for stepping up to the plate and Stephanie uses the terms like "thank you for stepping up" and finally being men. Hunter thanks them. It has nothing to do with Daniel Bryan or anything like that. But then RVD is just like he talks to Hunter and he's just like they were fighting for Daniel Bryan. Like he's saying that Hunter would have done the same. And all this other stuff, and then they just keep like jawing back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, like it's the whole thing with like Hunter. Used to be in DX. He used to be the guy sticking it to everyone and stuff like that. And now he's the one, fucking bullying everyone around.
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought that up a couple of times, like throughout this angle. Like he used to be the guy sticking it to the man. Now he is the man.
Yeah. So. Then Steph goes on and she asks, like, R-Truth, like, when's the last time you had a title match? Then she's like, what about Zack Ryder? I'm like, I know, I'm pretty sure everybody, got a good chuckle out of that. Like, maybe they should be the face of the WWE.
Yeah,
It's
we
pretty
were all
much
just-
it's like the whole job squad was out there.
Yeah. Steph was just like, they don't have that championship opportunity. And then Hunter's like, well, it's the Shield's fault, The Shield basically
did a double take.
well, like the Shield, like I guess what he was trying to say is like the Shield is like has been running rampant ever since they debuted, which is kind of true.
It is true.
They have defeated everybody. I mean, they've gotten big wins. Like they've won their first I forgot how many matches they won at WrestleMania. They beat Orton, Big Show, and Sheamus. I mean,
That's the thing. Like the Shield, they got a lot of good wins under their belt since they debuted. John Cena, Undertaker, even.
Yeah,
People have come over.
They got good wins, but at the same time, they have some really stupid losses.
Yeah.
Like just random, like losing on main event or superstars to like random tag teams or losing to the Usos.
yeah.
It just doesn't go anywhere. They don't
like
take it anywhere.
Yeah, it's like they lose, and then like right when you expect them to drop the belts, they keep winning.
And it's like they don't lose, like they rarely lose on like the main shows.
Oh, yeah,
and,
definitely.
I guess it's just like people, hoping people forget or. I don't know.
Definitely. So, anyways, during this promo, Triple H, announces the main event is going to be the Shield in a handicap 11-on-3 match with all the 10 superstars that helped Daniel Bryan plus Daniel Bryan against the 3. So that's going to be the main event for the night.
So and then starting off, 11-on-3. You kind of have to. You start to be a little nervous about how they're gonna book that because it just seems so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like something they came up with, like, literally, like, at the last second. Like, hey, this sounds good. An 11-on-3 handicap match. It just sounds like something so fucking overbooked. And just stay
Yeah, it really is. But we'll get to that when the match happens.
And like I will say that I'll bring this up too because Hunter, Triple H has all been like ever since he like kind of took this. I guess he is technically a heel, so like he's bringing up this stuff like I just do what's best for business and all this other stuff because that's what he said too. He's like this is what's best for business and this is what the WWE universe wants to see, like. I'm still wondering if he's trying to be a full-fledged heel because, like, he still comes out and gets a pretty decent pop.
Well, he's Triple H. He's always going to get a pop now.
Yeah,
But
that's just...
in terms of his character, he's full-on heel.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because, like, that was one of the... I'll touch this up on the Smackdown when we do run down the Smackdown.
All right.
But anyways, so let's just move on. So after
First match.
Yeah, the first match. After that promo, so the first match was Kofi Kingston versus Alberto Del Rio in a non-title match.
No, obviously I didn't watch Raw, so I can't comment on the quality of the match. So what did you think of the match?
The match was fine. Like I mean, I'm personally just not a huge fan of Kofi Kingston. Like the guy's got charisma. He's got some athletic ability, but like me personally, he's gonna be stuck in mid card hell for the rest of his career.
No, that dude's a mid carder for life.
Yeah, he's a mid carder.
Yeah,
that guy
you're
can.
pretty much-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
So, yeah, you pretty much just took the words like right out of my mouth there. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I like Kofi. You know, I got nothing against him. I think he's a good worker and all that. But yeah, like you guys just said, you know, he's basically just mid card for life. You know, I just don't see him really being in the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE title picture.
Yeah,
anytime soon.
I can't see that guy holding one of the two major titles in the company. I'm not sold. I guess like I mean I'll use Triple H's words. Like I can't see as this guy as being a face of the company, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean the kids love him and stuff. You know, he's a good face.
Yeah, definitely.
He carries himself well. He's good for the company, but
I will.
you know,
Oh, go ahead.
he's good. He's good, but he doesn't do anything great.
Yeah, this match, like, they put on a decent match. Like,
Yeah.
and the biggest misconception is, like, Del Rio is actually a really good in-ring worker. He's really, really solid. He has a lot of good, he's probably one of the better ones they got. Like, and, like, I mean, I may not be an Alberto Del Rio fan, but it's not because of his wrestling. It's, like, I think the character that he does is really, really stale.
His character is horrible.
He's just really, really fucking boring.
Yeah, like I mean, the guy is a workhorse. Like I mean, don't get me wrong, this guy is one of the better technical wrestlers they got. He puts on good matches, like, but the thing is like his mic work and everything else. Like me personally, like I just can't see like why they broke him and Ricardo up. But anyways. So basically, this match goes back and forth. You know, they do some of their signature moves. Kofi does some acrobatic moves. He tries to do a sunset flip, injures his arm. Del Rio just, you know, he obviously as a heel would he attacks the injured arm.
Goes for the arm.
And then basically, long story short, Del Rio wins the match. You know, which I mean, obviously I didn't expect Kingston to win.
Yeah, I mean he's Del Rio's the champion, so obviously he's gonna win.
This is a match to basically build more heat for him, and you know show he's still a dominant force, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of just a squash match. Like Del Rio was pretty much in control for most of the match. Kofi got off like a couple of offensive moves, but for the most part, it was just there to make Del Rio look better.
See, but the big problem is that they're booking with Del Rio and the belt. You know, the belt means nothing right now.
Yeah, it truly doesn't.
You got Del Rio still going in that feud with Rob Van Dam for the World Heavyweight title. You know Rob Van Dam's not gonna win it.
And if he does win, Sandow's gonna probably cash in
that
on him.
too, because Rob Van Dam is scheduled to go on to be on a break pretty soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I guess like the way his deal is that he's scheduled to work in basically like 90-day spurts. He works for 90 days, takes some time off, and then comes back on like another contract.
So he's truly a part-timer in a sense, right? Then?
Yeah, he's pretty much a part-timer.
Okay.
Yeah, and his deal right now, it's set to expire like in sometime in October, either after Battlegrounds or Hell in a Cell. And then afterwards, he's going to leave. He'll probably be off TV for the rest of the year, and then they'll probably bring him back at the Royal Rumble and have him there like all through WrestleMania season.
He'll have a match at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Oh, definitely.
That's good.
But just right now, the booking with that belt is you don't care about it at all.
Yeah, like I'm partial because I'm a Ziggler fan. And, like, when that guy cashed the night after WrestleMania, I mean, granted, it was the New Jersey crowd, but people were hyped that he won the belt, and, like, that concussion kind of screwed him over. They just never gave him a fair shot, and they gave the strap back to Del Rio, and, like...
Yeah, he never had a fair shot at it. And they stuck him with that bad... They stuck him with that bad angle with
Big E
and AJ. Yeah, it was just unnecessary.
And it's just, like, downhill from there. But
and another problem with that belt right now is you got Del Rio and RVD with their feud. As soon as that feud's done, obviously you still got Sandow with his briefcase, so he's gonna cash.
Of course.
So assume he cashes in. One, Sandow has looked like absolute shit lately. He hasn't won a match since he won that Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah.
He loses every week, and he's not strong at all. So him
Well,
cashing in, no one's gonna believe him as a champion.
It's kind of like, but I guess you can kind of argue the same with Ziggler. Before he cashed, like he was losing all the time.
Yeah, that's the thing I want to bring up too. Like, it's not just Sandow; it's this weird ass fixation that like WWE has with making like the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank winner just like keep jobbing and losing week after week, and it's just baffling. It's like, well, then if they cash in and win the belt, then they're not going to seem like a very credible or believable champion. So I don't get what the logic here is.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's like all of a sudden he's gonna cash in, win the belt. It's like, oh, he's a champion. So what now? He's gonna start beating everyone. He's been getting destroyed by the past couple months. It's stupid, and it doesn't make you care about the belt.
Okay.
And and then two, what happens after Sandow cashes?
That's
Yeah,
true.
Are they gonna do a Sandow Del Rio feud? Are they gonna do heel versus heel? Is Sandow going face?
Like, yeah, that's something that we'll have to figure out like as the time goes on. But
I mean, Sheamus is probably gonna come back. He might get involved, but right now it's so hard to care about that title
Yeah.
that it's just a throwaway belt.
yeah,
Which really is a shame considering like the huge history that belt has with guys like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Sting, and so many others. And this is what it's reduced to at this point.
Yeah, that pretty
Sad-
much the World Heavyweight Championship is like the equivalent to the old school Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I would agree.
And now the Intercontinental title and the US title are just absolutely nothing.
It's just
They're
like,
just
whatever.
there, basically,
Yeah.
as decoration.
It means nothing to be one of those champions.
No, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
And I mean, just look at Curtis Axel. It hasn't done him any favors.
Yeah. Well, we'll get
Yeah.
into that in a sec. So, anyways, moving down the card. So then, after the match, then there's a promo by Miz. The backstage interviewer Renee Young interviews the Miz. Wants to ask like how he's doing after Orton beat him in front of his family in his hometown the week before.
Ah, the week before, yeah.
Yeah. So like he's about to give his answer. Then Triple H interrupts him. Asking him how he's feeling. He knows he wants to fight Randy Orton, but he's not gonna allow it because he's afraid that Orton will do more harm. So Triple H is like, I'm gonna give what the people want. It's going to be I'm gonna give you guys Miz TV. So,
Which I wasn't aware that's what the people wanted.
Yeah,
but
I know.
okay.
People want Miz TV.
Yeah, so they're gonna go with Miz TV, and and he's gonna ask all the tough questions, I guess, and his guest will be the Big Show. He's gonna ask about about what happened the week prior of him knocking out the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Next match.
the next match we have is Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, the Wyatt family, taking on the Prime Time Players. Well,
So it's whatever. I mean,
this match was kind of short, and like I mean,
there's no point. The Wyatts are gonna go over.
and here's the thing: it's like maybe I haven't been paying that close attention. It's probably been a month or so. But when did the Primetime Players turn face?
They turned face after Darren Young came out.
Oh, that makes total sense.
As soon as he came out, they were faces.
Oh, that makes
They were
total sense.
faces and they were being put over. I mean, I'm not saying that like Darren Young coming out is the only reason they started winning and started being put over. They're really good workers too. They're good in the ring.
Yeah, they're very entertaining.
Yeah, and
very much so.
And I will say, like, I mean, I hate to use that pun, best for business, but I mean, I understand that, like, coming out in a male-dominated sport like that is pretty big. So for him,
especially with wrestlers.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there has been gay wrestlers in the past, but they were never open while they were still, working with the company.
And and I have to give my hats off to him. Like, he did it, and everybody supports him. So, and WWE is gonna capitalize this. I mean,
they got him they really pushing him with Be a Star right now.
Yeah, and that's smart. That's a really smart thing. But anyways, so this match just kind of like goes back and forth. Bray Wyatt's sitting, ringside as always. Me personally, like, I'm still not sold on Rowan and Harper yet. I mean,
Wyatt hasn't had a match since the Kane match. No, that was his only match.
You know, he
I
has, and I will get to that later because he had a match. He had a match on SmackDown this week.
Oh, okay. I just
So-
wasn't sure.
Well, he also had a match last week
Yeah, I
with
think-
Dolph Ziggler, and Ziggler,
Oh yeah, he did have a match with Ziggler. Yes, I remember that.
But obviously the Wyatts go over, just because and the Wyatts they're the hot thing right now. So.
Yeah.
Well,
But
that's the
not-
thing. Like, it seemed like the whole point of this match was to just kind of remind everybody, like, hey, remember
There's-
the Wyatts?
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they're
still
still
here.
around.
Yeah,
We're not doing anything with them, but they're still here.
I mean, the Wyatts won this match. I mean, and like you said, Nick, I seriously think it's just a way to, tell the fans, like, hey, these guys are still here. Because look how much time and effort they put into their debut. And, like, I'll be honest, like, I still think that stable is really, really good. It's just
It's a good stable. The problem with them, with their gimmick, is they have to be booked right.
Yes, they have to be booked right. Like, here's the thing that's like, and the thing that just irritates me, and, well, I'll get to that later on the SmackDown talk. But let's just, they have to be booked correctly. But let's just move on, and then we'll talk. I could talk more about the Wyatts when I get to the SmackDown section.
Okay, so let's just go into the next segment.
Okay, so the next segment is like Miz TV.
Miz TV,
Yeah.
So the Miz has been face for how long? You say like
about a year now.
Yeah, and like I don't know. Some people think he's like his character's really stale and stuff, but like he's a good guy. He's a good company guy. He does a lot of promotional work for them. So like it's still good that he's relevant, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of him like using the figure 4 anymore, or like when he had that whole thing with Flair. But anyways, so he does Miz TV, and his guest is the Big Show. So obviously they show a clip from last week when Stephanie McMahon ordered Big Show to knock out Dusty Rhodes. It was either him knock him out or have the Shield attack him.
Yeah, because it's continuing with the whole Rhodes family angle.
Yeah,
them all being let go.
And then basically like the Big Show, he's kind of like he has to do what they say because he needs the job for his family.
Yeah, they keep bringing up his failed strip mall business.
Yeah, his strip mall that failed apparently.
Which is real. That actually he did actually own the strip mall.
Wait,
And
really?
just-
I thought that was
yeah.
just part of the story.
Nope.
Was it? I thought I was under the impression that it was real.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up because I don't know. Maybe it could be. If it's fake, then I bought that. I bought that hard. Yeah.
So-
Bravo WWE.
So anyways, Big Show comes out. Miz asks him the tough questions. He's like, he's known Show for a decade. Working for the company. They used to be tag team partners and tag team champs actually, back in the day. He respects Big Show, but he wants to know how could you do that to a WWE legend who was basically a mentor to the Show. And Show just, obviously just stands there and doesn't say anything, because, he doesn't want to say the wrong thing because he's afraid that the McMahons are going to fire him. So, Miz says that he doesn't know, like, what happened to Show. Like, he's, like, just questioning him, like, dude, what would they actually do if you didn't do it? Like, they're just trying to break you down because you're the biggest one in the locker room. It's like, if they can break you, they can break anybody. And he mentioned that the superstars are trying to stand up and stand up to the regime, and it's time for Show to do the same. As while he's cutting this promo, Stephanie McMahon comes out, and I will applaud because I still think even back in the Attitude Era, she is one of the best like heel workers on the mic. Like,
yeah, she knows how to be like definitely like a good heel, but not just. She knows how to be like an annoying heel.
Yeah,
like you remember back in the day, she would have that really annoying, high-pitched voice or whatever,
or that scream, or like that. Yeah, it's she's a very good mic. She cuts very good promos. So anyways, she comes out and she basically says the Miz doesn't have to ask Big Show these types of questions and it's borderline slander and all this stuff. And then Miz, obviously as the face, he tells her, you can take these legal threats and blah, blah, blah and shove them. Then, she just brings up, like, she personally attacks him saying, like, Miz is like, if it wasn't for this, like, Miz could be living someplace else. He suffered the beating from Randy Orton, all this other stuff.
And she talked about how like Miz peaked too early, which is actually pretty much true.
That is pretty true. Yeah.
That is very, very true.
I mean, look, you look back at, what was it, 2011, he was in the main event of WrestleMania. This year, he was on the pre-show.
Yeah, that is...
on the main card.
That's very true.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just I was looking up. I do believe that Big Show did not own a strip mall.
No shit. Really?
Damn it, I almost believe you.
Man, I bought that storyline so hard.
God damn it, Mike.
Oh, that WWE writing, man.
Yeah,
Right,
they got me. For some reason, I don't know why I believe that was true.
Wow, you really bought that rich, compelling writing there, Mike.
So basically, you know,
Yeah, that's the botch for the week on my part.
that's the botch.
Yeah,
So
you
anyways,
get one per week.
so Stephanie just kind of continues in the ring, you know, just like trashing Miz, saying all this stuff, saying like he's not a major player, you know, and we talked about how like she mentioned that he peaked too early. He's like a utility guy. You know, when there's an early morning interview, they call him Miz. So basically, he's just like the company man.
That's what he is.
Which is actually true. Which is actually very, very true.
That was why they turned him face in the first part.
Yeah, which is actually very, very true. But anyways, so to end this segment, basically Stephanie McMahon just says like, Big Show, knock him out. Show doesn't even hesitate, he just knocks him out.
It's just so stupid.
Like,
So stupid.
like I'm honestly just like I'm honestly just sick of Big Show just like crying and seeing all that stuff. Like, I understand there's emotion, like, and that's cool. Like,
to Big Show's credit this week, at least he didn't cry this time.
Yeah, like, I mean,
he just did it, and that was it.
Yeah, like, I respect Big Show a lot because he's truly one of the legends of this industry. He truly is. Like, but at the same time, it's like, dude, everybody honestly thought, and like, I don't know, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about this. Like, I honestly thought eventually he was just gonna snap and just turn heel and just join them without this crying bull crap anymore. Just like turn heel, or he rebel, or like, you know, he just says screw it, and they fire him. But he finds a loophole. I mean, to me personally, instead of just him like going back and forth and like, I don't want to do this, blah blah blah, just turn him heel and add him to the stable, because honestly, they need help in the stable. Like, and we could talk about this later because I have some good points about that. But I mean, I'm just curious of what you guys think about the whole Big Show thing.
Well, again, like, it started off like interesting or promisingly enough, but just in the last couple of weeks, it's gotten old pretty quick. It's the same shit. You know, Big Show doesn't want to do it. Then Stephanie comes out and she's like, "Do your job." Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then he starts crying and he's like, "I'm sorry, I don't want to do it." And then just punches him and, you know, rinse and repeat. And
yeah, it's so stupid. Yeah. But they have absolutely nothing else for the Big Show right now.
That's true. Okay.
It's a horrible angle.
So, well, then we'll just move on to the third match of the night, which was not a bad match, like between pretty decent, like pretty good workers.
You got good workers.
Yeah, it was Orton versus RVD. And before we get started with this, like, I will say, since RVD has come back, like, the guy has impressed me. He's impressed me. He's in good shape. Well, he puts on good matches, like, not compared to, like, I mean, I never watched TNA when he was there, but I just heard bad stuff.
His heart wasn't in it when he was in TNA. Like, he just didn't really care.
So he just like phoned it in a sense.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And people were really concerned. Like, when they heard he was coming back to WWE, they were like, "Oh, you know, he's 40. Like, what is he? Like 42 now?"
Yeah, he's old. He's 41, 42 around there.
Yeah, he's like 41, 42. People were like, "Oh, you know, he's not gonna have it anymore." Or whatever, but then ever since he's been back, man, he's been putting on great matches week after week, proving, you know, he's got some kind of fountain of youth somewhere that he's been going to, and he's still got it.
Yeah, he still got it. He works great matches, and it's you know, they're using. I don't know if they're using him to the best of his ability right now, but
I feel like he's sitting in the Jericho type role.
Yeah.
Like, he's brought back to kind of, like, put people over. They may throw the belt on him for a short term, but, like, I can see him just being a guy that they put over. And, like, but, I mean, anyways. So this match kind of has some high-octane action. Like, you know, you see the typical Van Damme stuff, like the Rolling Thunder.
Usual spots.
Yeah, the Rolling Thunder, you know, Orton with his different moves.
It's vintage Orton?
Yeah, Michael
Vintage Orton.
It's vintage Orton. You know, you see a bunch of different things, and Van Damme, you know, hits him with a swanton. Orton kicks out. Then Orton kind of just like goes berserk. He throws him on the announce table, sends Van Dam into the ring barrier, and they both get counted out. Which, I mean, I know it's whatever.
It's whatever. It's
this,
a TV finish.
Yeah,
if that was a pay-per-view finish, I'd be raging somewhat.
Yeah, this is basically just trying to prove Orton's like mean streak, trying to get back to that like 2009 era when he was punting people.
Yeah, because you have him destroying the Miz last week in front of his family.
Yeah, because like
and
Triple H,
you got him destroying RVD this week.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
it's showing he doesn't care about the wins.
Yeah,
he just wants to show that he could kick ass,
and he wants to prove to Triple H that he's the guy. Because Triple H him and Stephanie questioned his if he was the right guy. So he basically just beats down RVD.
And the thing is, too, is that the problem with Stephanie and Triple H right now is they're like these super mega heels, and you got them putting down the normal heels, like they're putting down Orton. So Orton's in like this weird... It's like he's still a heel, but he's not, because obviously he's trying to prove to them, but at the same time...
People still cheer him.
He doesn't like the fact that he has to prove himself to these people.
Exactly. That makes
it's like sense. So he's in a really weird spot. I wouldn't say he's a tweener or anything, because he's not doing anything face. Everything he's doing is full on heel. But compared to how Triple H and Stephanie are acting, it's just an odd position for Orton.
Yeah.
It's like you want to root for him. You don't know who to root from or root against them.
Yeah. Well, okay, so anyways, then we'll just kind of move on.
Well, hold on. Was one other thing I wanted to bring up, just because I think it's worth bringing up.
Okay.
Afterwards, Orton, he does the usual thing. He does that kind of that kind of DDT that he does, where he's got their legs up on the ropes or something like that. Yeah, he hits RVD with one of those off the barrier outside of the ring, knocks him out supposedly. And then he drags him back into the ring, and then does another one on him, but from the middle or top turnbuckle. And I just thought it was funny as hell that right before Orton did it, he has RVG up, and right before he does it, Orton, he lets out this cliched maniacal villain laugh, he literally just goes ah ha 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 and does it. And
Randy Orton.
I just thought it was funny as hell.
Randy Orton.
The one thing I give that Orton is he loves being a heel.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because we can all agree, the last few years he was a face, the character was so stale.
He's a horrible face. Orton is a horrible face.
I totally agree. Okay.
But as a heel, you could tell he loves it.
Okay, so let's move on. And
come back. We got the Los Matadores.
Yeah, the video package. Isn't that Primo?
Epico and Primo.
Yeah, it's Primo and Epico's new gimmick.
Okay.
With the stupid ass gimmick from the 1990s.
Those fucking Ninja Turtle masks they're wearing. That's what they look like.
Basically.
It's recently they've been bringing back stupid gimmicks.
I don't know what. Sometimes I wonder who's on their writing staff.
Because
I will touch more about this on the Smackdown recap, because there was some stuff on Smackdown that I was tremendously just upset about.
In terms of stupid gimmicks that they've been coming out with, you had, I think, the first stupid gimmick where it started, or I don't even gonna say it started, but the string of stupid gimmicks. First it was Tensai.
Yeah.
Then Tensai, Brodus Clay, and then you put them together, and for an even stupider gimmick. And then you had Fandango, which I think is a horrible gimmick.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll
we'll talk about Fandango.
Yeah, we'll talk. It's Fandango.
Yeah, it's just the stupid gimmicks that are making a comeback.
Well, so they show the package with Los Matadores saying, they will be premiering on Raw the following week. Then there's a backstage, I
wonder if they still have Rosa Mendes.
I don't know. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I like that.
But there was this backstage interaction with the Bella twins, stretching, because and Orton comes saying that asked him, did you see what I did to this guy? He's like, this is only a fraction of what I'll do to Daniel Bryan, your boyfriend. And then he's like, you can always upgrade to a real guy. And then she's like, I am dating a real man. And then that's when Orton pops off and he's like, I'm the real man and I'm the face of the WWE. You know, it's like, man.
I think it's interesting too that like that was the first time they ever decided to actually bring up the fact that Brie Bella and Daniel Bryan are actually together like on TV.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of like they're trying to shift away from. It seems like they're trying to shift away from the PG era, and also incorporating like reality. So it's like you can't tell.
That the thing too is that regarding the Bellas, that all of a sudden they're faces now.
It's weird. No, it's because of the TV show. It's weird.
Yeah, but it's like all of it, like out of
TV.
nowhere because of the TV show. They're like faces.
Yeah.
And like it was just like 1 week they were heels, and like without anything, the next week they're coming out and they're faces.
Yeah.
And it's just.
So let's move on. The next thing is like AJ cuts. There's a promo between AJ and Stephanie.
Okay, now this is fucking stupid and it's so retarded. You have AJ, who's the top diva heel in the WWE. She's worked her ass off.
Yeah.
If you're an AJ fan or not, it's whatever because she has worked her ass off to get where she has been, she's doing a great job as their top diva heel. She goes into Stephanie's office, and Stephanie fucking buries her ass. Straight up buries.
She's married to Triple H, so of course she's gonna bury her.
She buries their champion, their top diva, their top heel.
Yeah.
In one
And it's
segment.
so stupid. There is no point for that. Because, and this is why I hate this, is because Triple H always has to throw himself somewhere. When Stephanie comes back, she always has to put herself somewhere. And there's no point to it. Because at the end of this whole at the end of this whole angle, nothing is gonna happen to Stephanie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's not gonna get involved. She's not gonna have a match or anything.
Yeah.
Or
no one's gonna kick her ass. No one's gonna do anything. So it makes no sense to her doing that. Other for them just to have to fucking stroke their own ego, yeah. Triple H and Stephanie, but because it's every couple of years they have to come back and be like, hey, look at us.
It's like they don't want to. They don't want to. Show that they've been missing. Like they want to still show that they're like top dogs in a sense.
Which is so stupid. I mean, you had Triple H. Triple H stole all of CM Punk's all of his steam.
Yeah, Night of Champions 2 years ago.
Yeah, when there was no point in Triple H winning that other than Triple H to be like, I'm and
that's the thing. Like the biggest bunch of bullshit with the way that went down too was there was no rematch. Punk never got back the win. Triple H was just
it was just Triple H, and it's so stupid because it's like you're having one of your top guys lose to a semi-retired part-timer. Yeah,
arguably the most over guy in the company at the time.
Yeah, he was.
And he's losing to a semi-retired part-timer.
And I don't even want to talk about the whole Kevin Nash debacle either.
Oh, please don't.
But it's whatever. But let's just keep going. We'll get to it when we get to the main event.
Let's just get to it. We'll move on. All right. So the next match was Santino Marella, who made his return a few weeks ago, versus Fandango.
Fandango wins. Who gives a shit?
Hey, the crowd was hyped, man. Fandango comes out. The crowd is just hyped for Summer Rae, and I will admit I love me some Summer Rae. I do. But I mean, I will say that I am shocked and appalled that the WWE did not turn Fandango face. He was getting over right after WrestleMania, and like part of it was the New Jersey crowd. But even a few weeks later, he was getting over. They could have turned him face. They could have. But they are kind of lacking in the heel department, I will say.
Well, the thing is, though, like, because you brought that up, like, why didn't they do, turn Fandango face? I think it was back at Payback. They were all set to put the Intercontinental belt on Fandango.
Yeah, he got hurt. Yeah,
he had a concussion at the time, so he was out off TV for a couple of weeks. I'm gonna call
that the Ziggler
effect.
Yeah, the Ziggler
effect.
But
the problem too with that character is his gimmick is so bad.
But the people eat it up. So it's like, look, as much as you hate the gimmick, you got to give the guy props for putting on the gimmick, and he's doing the best with what he's working with. So, anyways,
I thought that dude's the modern day Disco Inferno. Something.
So, anyways, Fandango wins. Santino, is out there. Santino's like the comic relief. He's got the
It's
cobra.
it's a filler match.
It's a filler
No one
match.
cares.
So, anyways, let's just move on. Let's move on. So this is one
CM
of the this is one of the bigger segments because we're spending a lot of
CM
time on
Punk.
Raw. We need to kind of keep it moving here.
Yeah, we got the
Yeah.
CM Punk.
CM Punk comes out, makes his return.
Oh, they're in Chicago too, so
Yeah.
this is
Yeah, it's a Chicago crowd, so Punk's gonna automatically get a huge pop.
No, he gets a huge pop. He's basically talking about, he's dressed in a Blackhawks jersey. He's talking about like, how the Blackhawks didn't quit and all this other stuff. And like, he's like, I'm not gonna quit until I get my hands on Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman comes out,
On a rascal scooter, I
Yes.
might add.
That was pretty good. And I will say to this day that both him, like I understand that people are kind of tired of this feud, but I will say Paul Heyman and CM Punk, they are two of the best promo cutters in the WWE, and it's not even close.
Oh, bar none.
Like
Oh yeah.
None.
Heyman is gold. He is just absolutely gold. Like
And the thing is too, is that they've worked together for so long. They know how to play off each other.
oh
so
yeah,
well.
and it's perfect.
Yeah.
So
Those
like,
are-
I mean,
Those are two guys you can watch on the mic just endlessly.
Oh,
and
of
when it's
course.
all said and done, you can actually believe for a few minutes that, hey, maybe this is actually real.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
those guys, like, they don't sound like they're reading off a script or anything. Like, it just sounds so natural.
and that just shows the experience they've had with working with each other.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, Paul Heyman comes out and he's just like, he cuts his typical heel promo saying like, "Oh, I beat CM Punk. I'm the best in the world." Blah blah blah. And he's like, I don't need Punk to remind me of the beating that he took at Night of Champions, which honestly, like, it was Ryback that came in and just won him the match. Now, and I'll be.
Which is stupid because I will tell you why this is so stupid.
Oh, God,
Oh
Mike.
God, here we
Contain
go.
Because-
yourself.
No, because okay, so Paul Heyman is in the match, right? So Curtis Axel lost already. Paul Heyman is in the middle of the ring telling the ref, "I give up. I tap. I tap. I tap," and the ref fucking ignores it.
The botch.
What is that? He verbally submitted.
Hey, that's-
that is a loss.
That's one of the.
And like everyone, I guess the announcers don't acknowledge it. Nobody acknowledges it. I guess they take us for idiots and be like, okay,
Yes, they
he's not,
do.
he's
I'm
not,
watching this shit.
he's not tapping out.
It's a botch, man. It's a botch.
And it was just so bad. Like it's so stupid that they wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they earlier in that pay-per-view, they made it a point. Oh, why isn't the referee counting? Her shoulders are down during the Divas match. It's like, oh, this referee's so bad. It's like he should be counting. Her shoulders are down. They're not doing anything. And so they point that out, but they don't point out the fact
Yeah.
that Paul Heyman is submitting. He is verbally submitting in the middle of the match, telling the ref, "I tap out. I give
Okay.
up."
Yeah.
But it's so stupid, and that's the one problem I have with that. It's just, there's no
Wow, Mike,
consistency
way to
with
no
stuff like
sell.
that.
No, and
Just have
yeah,
fun.
way to no sell, man. Shout outs to the No Sell podcast. Cheap pop.
Cheap pop, man.
Cheap pop. Okay, anyway, so let's just keep moving on. Punk and them, they just kind of play off each other. Paul Heyman's gloating, So Paul's just like, all right, it's time for me to go, blah, blah, blah. And his scooter doesn't work. Oh, wow, So
saw
what?
this.
So we saw this coming. So Punk comes up the ramp, because the crowd's cheering and blah, blah, blah. And, hey, what do you know? It's a trap. Because CM Punk even admitted that it would be a trap. And here comes Ryback and Curtis Axel. So, and I will say, like, Punk was holding his own. And Axel looked horrible here. Like, Axel just looks like a jobber. It honestly looks like Paul Heyman's going to kick him to the curb eventually.
Curtis Axel is just not a. I don't know. He just doesn't have it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Tick, yeah, like you saw like the spot too, like when they were like all fighting up on the stage, and Punk, like he just hits Axel like right in the head with like that MMA kick. I thought he sold that pretty good.
Yeah, he did. So,
Ziggler, to me, Ziggler is Mr. Perfect son that he never had. That should be the be the
Yeah.
thing.
but
Actually,
anyway,
yeah, he looks like him too. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, but this whole feud, it seems it's going on longer than it needs to.
yeah, and I will say that I hope that this feud wraps up soon.
It's not going to wrap up because they have nothing for Punk right now. Because everything is filler till John Cena gets back.
Which is sad.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
have Punk in this feud, and this feud is gonna go nowhere because all Ryback is doing right now, he's acting as Brock Lesnar light until Brock
Yeah.
Lesnar comes back.
He's son of
Wait,
Lesnar.
you mean Goldberg?
You mean
because-
Goldberg?
And it's stupid too because Punk's already feuded with Ryback. Punk is beating Ryback,
Of course,
and
yeah.
so Punk's gonna beat Axel no matter what.
And
Axel's not
hey,
gonna go over Punk.
so
Ryback is gonna lose,
yeah,
and it's gonna come back to it's gonna come back to Lesnar.
yep. So anyways,
Well, here's the thing, though, is that, Punk and Ryback, they feuded last year, back during Punk's, big 434-day title run. And they had a match at Hell in a Cell, and then there was the triple threaded Survivor Series with Cena. And their feud really wasn't that great. It wasn't that spectacular. But at the same time, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt because, Ryback has improved a lot, since last year. So maybe, him and Punk might be able to like work better together now. I think this will be like a good way to see like how far Ryback has come, so to speak. But like you said too, like at the end of the day, it just feels like they're trying to really drag this feud out because
there's nothing else for him right now.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so they fight. Axel, Ryback, and Punk fight on the stage. And then basically Ryback just like beats him up, puts him. I believe he puts him through a table. Puts him through a table, and this is to me was like one of the funniest things because like I actually personally think Ryback has gotten better lately. He's just like Ryback says after he puts him through the table. This is what happens to bullies, and this guy is freaking a bully. Like he's every time he says Ryback rules, I just want to yell out O'Doyle rules.
O'Doyle rules.
So, anyways, Punk gets checked on by the medical staff. So let's just move on because we need to wrap up Raw here. So the next match is kind of like a filler match. It's the Divas match. You have
Divas,
you have
bathroom break.
Yeah, so you have like the Total Divas, Cameron, Naomi, Natalia, and both Bella twins, versus AJ Lee, Layla, Alicia Fox, Tamina, and Oksana. Who you really don't get to see a lot of is Oksana, and I will honestly
because Oksana is horrible.
Yeah, no,
that's
she's
why
bad.
you don't get
She's
to
bad.
see her.
We're waiting for Paige to come up from NXT. If you guys don't know who Paige is, she's an upcoming wrestler in NXT that is just be getting rave reviews. She's got the looks and she has the in-ring talent. They're just saying that she's only 20 right now, so they want to wait till she's 21 to bring her on the road. But anyways, so this match is kind of just like a filler match,
Whatever. The faces win.
Yeah,
It's whatever.
I guess you could say that their faces, like I always thought the Bellas were heel, but their faces since they turned to this new show. But I will say, and maybe you guys disagree with me, I still think AJ gets a pretty good pop for being a heel ever since she cut that promo.
She's just so good, that's why.
Yeah, like ever since she cut that, what I guess quote unquote pipe bomb promo, like she's been, getting some good cheers. So I mean, I'm interested to see where this goes because truthfully, and you guys will probably agree, I only think that there is legitimately 3 or 4 good women wrestlers. It's AJ, Natalia,
Tamina.
Tamina's really good, and then like it's like up in the air because I mean the Bellas I'm just not a fan of. They're botchamania.
They're not very good.
Layla's not bad. Layla's not bad.
What is it? Naomi? She's got some good high flying stuff.
Yeah, but like truly the best of the class is AJ, Natalia, and Tamina. But basically,
wait, what happened to Caitlyn?
Caitlyn's hurt.
Oh, she's hurt. Okay.
Yeah. Caitlyn's good
she's
too.
been nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty good, but like to me the top dogs are AJ and Natalia, and like honestly, you give me a match at the pay-per-view and I will actually be interested to watch because look at when AJ and Caitlyn had that pay-per-view match, that was actually pretty good. It was pretty good. So AJ can put on a good show. So it's just like
The thing is like for my basis for the matches, the Divas matches, is I compare them to matches with the TNA Knockouts, who put on amazing matches. The TNA Knockouts, blow the Divas out of the water in terms of in-ring ability, and I think if they were to just let them go out there and put on a wrestling match, that they could do some good stuff. But they're so far it seems like they're eternally doomed for the 2-minute, the 2-minute filler match just to get a bunch of the girls on TV.
Just to get a bunch of the girls on TV, plug Total Divas, and give the people at home and at the arena a chance to get up, go take a piss, and grab a beer.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing much else to talk about. So let's just move
Yeah,
on.
go back. Main event time.
So this is basically the main event. The 10 superstars and Daniel Bryan that helped him out. Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, the Usos, Zack Ryder, Justin Gabriel, Kofi Kingston, the Primetime Players, RVD, and R-Truth versus The Shield. Now, man, like, seeing Zack Ryder, Justin Gabriel... Like,
Zack Ryder in the main event?
Like, I
Zack Ryder on TV at all? Holy shit.
Same with Justin Gabriel. So anyways, this is an elimination handicap match, and we kind of knew where this was going to go in a sense, like who was going to get eliminated and whatnot, because most of the time it's going to be the jobbers that get eliminated, and surprisingly, everybody knows the Shield, those guys are all going to eventually be main event stars.
Those guys are going to be main eventers.
Yeah, eventually. Like, it's whenever they decide to end this Shield gimmick, like, those guys can easily become, like, top singles wrestlers. So anyways, so RVD is eliminated first, which is actually kind of a shock.
Very, very, very surprising.
Yeah, he was selling his injury from Del Rio.
Yeah, that's what they were doing.
I also kind of just thought, like, wow, okay, so you eliminate this guy first. The next is Kofi Kingston, It's like whatever. It's kind of basically like the jobbers go. It's like Kingston goes, then Titus O'Neil, Justin Gabriel, Zack Ryder, then Roman Reigns. Like, Roman Reigns gets hit with a Superfly smash by Jey Uso, and he pins him. So it's foreshadowing them because the Usos are the number one contenders for the tag titles.
They're feuding right now for the tag titles, and honestly, I like that. It gave, because I think people were expecting Bryan to get all the wins.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was good that they gave Jey Uso one of the eliminations.
Yeah.
Yeah, like let him get the pin on Roman Reigns, and then even the announcers, like, they deliberately went out of their way to point out like wow, this is the first time in the WWE that Roman Reigns has been pinned.
Yeah, so it makes the Usos look strong, and actually it builds towards their feud for the tag belts. So it was a good call. And then you got so Reigns gets eliminated. Match continues. Regular match. Darren Young out next, and then Ziggler comes in.
Yeah, Ziggler comes in.
He gets his offense in, hits the zigzag on Dean Ambrose, and Dean Ambrose is done. Pins him, which is continuing
their little feud that they've been having for the last month. So, and that leaves Seth Rollins left. He eliminates R-Truth. So basically, that leaves Bryan and Seth Rollins, and Bryan and them.
Seth Rollins, the Usos are still there.
Oh, the Usos are still there, right?
Yeah, they didn't get eliminated.
Oh no, my bad. Yeah, the Usos are still there. I'm just mind blacking on the whole thing. So, anyways, Rollins, and Bryan are wrestling. Bryan hits him with that flying knee. I like to just call it the Sagat Tiger knee. So pins him for the win. And
yes. So you had Ziggler, the Usos, and Bryan
left standing.
Yeah.
And basically that's the way it ended Raw. They just were celebrating, which it's a nice change of pace that the faces win. But I will go out and say this, and I've seen other people, especially Neo Gaff forums for the wrestling posted it too. Seth Rollins, that guy can sell a move, man.
Oh,
guy is him and Ziggler are the two best at selling. It is just not even close.
Yeah, when they showed a recap or whatever of the week before when when all the guys came out to help Bryan, when he hit that that running knee kick that he does now, when he hit that on Seth Rollins, I didn't notice this before, but Rollins, he practically did a full-on backflip when Bryan hit him with it. It just looked really good.
It literally looked like he killed him.
Yeah, it looked like he killed his ass, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was an okay Raw. I mean, I personally felt like it wasn't some of the best.
I mean, obviously the faces had to win that match.
So, anyways, let's just kind of
where let's. So I didn't watch SmackDown, so that's all you.
All right, SmackDown was kind of not to me, it was just it wasn't that great. I'll just kind of go over some of the highlights. So does
anyone really watch SmackDown?
That's what I'm wondering.
Sure as hell don't.
Well, nothing happened.
So basically,
Nothing happened.
Triple
Moving
H
on.
comes out on SmackDown and he cuts about the promos, what's best for business. Surprisingly, he gets a pretty decent pop for coming out, which that was also what we questioned earlier. Is like this guy's a full heel, but he's still getting pops. But he's Triple H. So
Well,
anyways,
the fact is with that is that with the fans, you can kind of tell them, so to speak, like who to cheer for, who to boo. But at the end of the day, the fans are going to do whatever they're going to do. To be honest, you can't really control them.
yeah.
What they're
So
gonna
anyways, Miz comes out, interrupts Triple H, gets a decent sized pop, just like basically complaining, saying that Triple H is just like using his power for no good and blah blah blah, and then Triple H is like, you know what? I'm gonna do what's best for business. I'm gonna help you out. I'm giving you as he stated, I will give you an opportunity. So he books the main event for Miz and Orton. So, anyways, when they come back, the first match of the night is R-Truth versus Del Rio in a non-title. They show highlights of Raw, of Del Rio beating up RVD, all this other stuff. It's a really, really short match. RVD gets some offense in, but basically just Del Rio just dominates the match. Beats him with a super kick and stuff. So basically, then after the match, Del Rio just kind of beats up on R-Truth. RVD comes in with making the save with Ricardo, and basically just beats him a couple times, and then just stands in the ring holding the belt and all this other stuff. Then they show backstage, like Vicky and Triple H talking, and then that's when they made their battleground match a hardcore rules match. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this, but I will just go out and say, with the hardcore rules match set, I've said this times to you guys, and I'm just not a fan of this whole. I don't know where this whole RVD Ricardo thing is going. I'm still thinking Ricardo is going to pull a swerve and go back with Del Rio.
Could be.
I still think that's going to happen.
I could see them doing that because let's face it, Del Rio was pretty goddamn boring without Ricardo. That was the only thing that made him interesting.
The thing is that thing is so obvious. It's like you could see it a mile away, which is exactly why I think they're gonna do it.
That's very true. It's very WWE-ish.
Yeah, it's completely blatantly obvious. So obviously they're gonna do it.
If they don't do it, and by some stretch that RVD wins the match, I'm already calling a Sandow cash. It's just like he's
got to cash pretty soon.
Yeah, he's gonna cash. So, anyways, let's just move on. Then next, you had a tag team match with the Real Americans, Cesaro and Swagger versus the Primetime Players. Now, the Primetime Players come out and the Real Americans had the jobber entrance. They were already in the ring when the commercial came back, but they cut a decent sized promo saying like "We the People" and stuff, which. They're not bad. They got a pretty decent chant from the crowd despite being heels.
The gimmick the gimmick's old already though.
I still think Zeb Coulter's a pretty good manager.
I'm kind of tired of that gimmick.
Well, again, this is the great, Dutch Mantel. He's like one of the best heel managers, ever.
Yeah.
Basically.
So, anyways, the match had some good offensive stuff. Cesaro, and this shows why he is one of the best technical wrestlers, and he could put on a match like. That guy should be in the main event picture. This just makes me upset that this guy is not getting more respect. What I thought was probably the highlight of the match for me is he knocks down Titus O'Neil. He picks him up by his feet and spins him around in a circle.
Yeah,
for 22 reps.
He's been doing that big spin. He's added it to his
moveset.
Yeah, he's added it to his moveset. The dude's a beast, dude. That dude is. I like the stories you hear. Supposedly the dude is stronger than all hell.
Dude, honestly, he is the next to Bryan, and maybe I don't know who else would you consider top technical wrestlers. I don't know, CM Punk, but Daniel Bryan's probably number one.
Yeah.
Cesaro deserves to be up there. In my personal opinion, that guy needs to be in the main event picture. That guy is too good of a talent for the WWE to bury him.
He's got the great in-ring skills, but it's they got to develop.
It's the mic work.
Yeah, they got to develop on that, and I just think WWE they're too scared to take a chance on him.
But
so anyways, that's why you could always stick him with the manager.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
That's kind of like
it's kind of
like a dying thing though, the whole manager thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. And to be honest, if he wasn't with Coulter, I honestly would have thought he would have been the next Paul Heyman guy. I honestly would have thought. But anyways, so this match goes on. There's some good offensive stuff. Cesaro gets there's a blind tag by Swagger. He hits the Patriot Lock for the win, which was to me kind of shocking because the Primetime Players has been on a roll lately, and then they just kind of dropped this match. But anyways, so the next match is kind of just like another filler match. It's kind of like a squasher match. It's Bray Wyatt makes another in-ring match versus Zack Ryder. You know,
Shit.
Zack Ryder comes out to a decent pop, and as soon as
not nearly as much steam as he once had.
Oh, no, definitely
Was
not.
it
Definitely
a year
not.
or two ago
Yeah,
when
definitely
he was
not.
really over?
But
How he's fallen.
Yeah, he comes out. He's about ready to enter the ring. Then Rowan and Harper just like attack him a little bit, throw him in the ring. You know, and it's basically Bray Wyatt's just kind of like taking it to him. Ryder has some signs of like offense and stuff, but then Wyatt hits his finisher, that Sister Abigail's kiss.
I hate his finisher.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward.
It's a real awkward looking finisher. I mean, it's definitely unique. Like, I'd never really seen it before, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, I'm just not feeling it. Like, it almost looks like it's like hurting him more than the other guy.
Yeah. But anyways, so he wins the match here, and he's just like how he drops on the knees and like puts his arms out like it's like just follow me and all this other stuff.
Oh, the buzzards.
Yeah, but what's to me is like I'm still getting upset about is that he is still getting Husky Harris chants. Like I am just like I understand he was Husky Harris, okay, but the guy has a pretty good gimmick.
It doesn't really matter how good the gimmick is, though. Like,
no, you're right. It doesn't matter how good the gimmick is, but I mean, the guy has a great gimmick.
Yeah, it's a good gimmick, but
and they're just kind of like shitting on him. So
fans are gonna chant whatever they're gonna chant, like the same shit. Like last year when they brought back Albert as the Lord Tensai, people were chanting A Train and Albert still.
So.
People don't forget that easily.
I feel like they're just like I think we touched on it earlier. They're just kind of throwing these guys in matches right now to show that they're still there, but they don't really have anything for them. So
they need to get them involved in some kind of a program, and soon. They.
But we could touch on more of that later. Let's just run through SmackDown because not a lot happened.
Yeah, let's just go through it really quick.
Ziggler,
we got some news to get to.
Yeah, Ziggler and Ambrose have their match for the U.S. title. This was a really short match because, and I'll get into it. It's just like Ambrose comes out with obviously Rollins and Reigns. So Ziggler comes out. He ends up bringing out Kofi and RVD for backup. So they wrestle. They do some good moves. Well, then the Shield interferes and Van Dam and stuff interferes and DQ. So title doesn't change hands. Triple H comes out. He's like, all right, just because this happened, we're going to restart the match as a 6-man tag. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody saw that coming when they came out. So they had a match, and, there's a lot of "We Want Kofi" chants for some strange freaking reason. Like,
he's what's best for business.
And then,
No, he's not.
Rollins hit, so basically the ref was distracted because Reigns actually put a pretty good spear on Ziggler. And then Rollins comes in the ring when Ambrose and Kofi were the legal men. Rollins hits a kick to Kofi's head. Ambrose gets the pin. So Shield still looks strong. So then, let's just moving on. There's not much left. It's like Big Show cuts a promo saying that, like, this whole thing with Triple H and stuff is taking a huge toll on him. He can't sleep at night and all this other stuff. So it's just like, he's just like, but I'm still trying to do what's best for my family. And Triple H comes in and just says, well, if you're tired of it, I can go find you another job. He mocks him, like, oh, are you going to cry? And just, like, mocks him. And, like, Show actually shows aggression, like, he's actually going to do something. Like, shows, like, he's angry. He looks like he's going to punch Triple H, but Triple H is like, what are you going to do? You punch me, you're going to get fired. Kind of like a pointless angle. The next match is kind of filler. The next few matches till the main event is really filler. It's just, like, Cameron wrestles AJ Lee. No pop. AJ Lee has more of a pop than Cameron, but she comes out with Tamina. Tamina, helped out AJ, and that's like kind of her backup. Basically, long story short, AJ hits Cameron with a running kick, gets the pin. Boom. So the next thing is Paul Heyman comes out, cuts a small promo. Just basically, he's just gloating about CM Punk, saying that reiterating that Ryback and Punk are gonna wrestle at Battlegrounds, and he's gonna beat him. It was a decent promo, but it was just kind of more like it was more just like a shorter version of the promo from Monday. And
Yeah, all it is the whole thing is just a giant.
I feel like SmackDown is just turning into a giant recap.
Yeah, it's a recap of Raw, and
yeah, that's all it is.
So
it's like,
there's no point to watch SmackDown because nothing ever happens, and all they ever do is talk about what happened on Raw.
Yeah. So, anyways, the next match, and like I don't want to spend any time with this, but I was just pretty salty what I saw.
Oh god,
Santino and Heath Slater. So 3MB's out there. Santino walks out with.
But before you start, I like Heath Slater.
Oh, no, and I do too. I actually like.
That makes two.
I like Heath Slater.
That dude, it's so fun to watch him get his ass kicked.
Yeah, but
he sells it so good.
Yeah, he comes out. Santino comes out with Great Khali and Hornswoggle. Okay, so they wrestle. Santino has that Cobra gimmick. All of a sudden, you see freaking Jinder Mahal jump on the apron with a freaking flute, and then he's acting like he's controlling the Cobra. And then what the fuck? Khali comes out and does the same thing, and it's like Santino's like, I can't control the Cobra. What do I do? Oh my god! I'm just sitting there face palming, like, who believes this stuff?
I assure you, it looked even fucking stupider than it sounds.
Like if you watched it, and I pray to God that you don't. It was so bad. Like I was just like, wow. Could this?
I just assume in my head I'm just imagining like Vince in the back just rolling on the floor laughing.
No, but
yes, this pleases me.
Yeah.
Just like this went on, and then Santino eventually wins with the Cobra because Hornswoggle comes in, knocks Mahal off the apron, loses control of the flute, and fucking he hits him with the Cobra. I'm just sitting there thinking, this is a filler match, but why would you do something that nobody believes? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, not even little kids are gonna buy that.
Yeah, like, anyways, like, I didn't want to spend any time with that. I just thought, like, WWE, get better writers. Like, this crap is ridiculous.
Again, seriously, who books this shit?
Yeah, seriously. Main event time, it's Orton versus Miz. They do flashbacks of the Rhodes family. You know how Cody Rhodes and Goldust made that return and attacked the Shield on Raw. I forgot to mention that before the main event on Raw, the Shield come out.
That's a notable thing you left out.
And yeah, that's really bad on my part, and I apologize that the Rhodes brothers came out and attacked the Shield. But anyways, they recap that. Miz comes out. He's not his smiling self. He doesn't do any of his his ring stuff coming to the ring. He just looks focused. As soon as the bell rings, they fight. Miz jumps at the turnbuckle. Orton ducks out of the way. It looks like he hurt his collarbone or something like that. So he rolls out of the ring. The doctor checks on him and basically is like, are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. Orton just decides to beat him down. The ref calls it DQ. Triple H comes out and says that he doesn't want Orton to have to get out of wrestling The Miz, so he orders the match to restart as a no DQ. So basically, this is just another few minutes of Orton beat the crap out of him. The Miz can't even stand, and he's just like he gets.
It's just to build heat.
Just to build heat, and then gives him an RKO, pins him, and that's it. That's SmackDown. It's a waste of time. SmackDown used to be so good, but man, it was just a filler of Raw. That's why more people just watch Raw, because even the top guys, like no Daniel Bryan or anything, are not on SmackDown. So
yeah, it's definitely a far cry from, about a decade ago when SmackDown for a period of a couple of years was better than Raw. SmackDown
it's because all the main event guys were on both shows. Anyways, let's just move on. So
what really killed SmackDown was that period in time where they had the brands.
Yeah.
The brand split.
Yeah, and ever since then it hasn't recovered.
Okay, so now let's just move on because we've been that took a lot longer than expected.
Yeah.
We're gonna kind of just run over the news.
News and rumors.
Just
at least the most interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's just some basic news that we kind of picked out from the wrestling world this week. The first one is Rey Mysterio. He announced that his return, and his return is
October 16th.
October 16th, yeah.
He'll be back. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him.
I give him 3 months before he gets hurt again.
Yeah,
Again.
probably.
Like,
They're
don't.
probably really gonna cut back on him doing his. I mean, he's not high flying right now, but
Yeah.
they're probably not gonna let him do a lot.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like I like Ray. He's technically one of the legends, but at the same time, like I think he's done.
That dude's done. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
he's
done.
done.
Yeah, he's just too injury prone at this point. Like his glory days are definitely behind him.
Yeah, it's done. So, anyways, So Rey Mysterio coming back. The next bit of news is just like Austin had an interview saying that he probably will not come back for one more match.
Yeah.
And to
Which
me
definitely,
personally,
no, go ahead.
to
Sorry.
me personally, it's a big blow because I would love to see one more match with him and CM Punk.
Well, who wouldn't?
Like,
You
I
know,
mean,
that's
but at the
whatever.
same time, you gotta wonder because they've been saying he's been in the best shape he's been in for years. But you gotta wonder, it's like he could be the best shape, but like he might not be able to take a bump. So
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like he's still like definitely in good shape and whatnot. But you got to remember though, like towards the end of his like career, he was having to wrestle every match with those two big ass knee braces on, and then there was still like the lingering, neck and spinal issues, that he had been dealing with like for a number of years, pretty much ever since that injury he sustained in the match with Owen Hart,
yeah,
that botched pile driver.
yeah.
But,
So
um,
it's kind of like a letdown, I guess. But he is 48, I believe.
yeah, he's 48.
So
Yeah.
It's not so far fetched, and I mean, as much as everybody would love to see Austin versus Punk, I just hope that Punk gets booked right, and maybe he wrestles like someone like Daniel Bryan. Like, give us a show. So, anyways, the next couple items of news that we got is just like, we have Hulk, the Undertaker potentially returning early.
Yeah. Possibly returning early, which would be a really big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess the way it's been is that like the last week or so, WWE they've been putting out like these series of like really cryptic tweets and whatnot, and then and having some kind of like a teaser image to go along with it.
Yeah.
It will be
And then,
interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's just all rumors. We don't know, but that was kind of an interesting bit of news that we saw this week. The next one, just like not really like. I mean, it's not like huge wrestling news that's pertaining to storylines, but Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella got engaged, so kudos.
I think I speak for everyone when I say, when does Triple H crash the wedding?
But too, this is gonna be a huge main focus on the second season of Total Divas.
Yeah, they already went out of their way to say that they're going to air the proposal on the show, and all that stuff. And then who knows? They'll probably try to make this some kind of a storyline angle on Raw as well.
Yeah, they're gonna do that. It's gonna promote the show.
Yeah.
It's gonna give Daniel, something to do.
So it could be any. It could help both of them. So, anyways.
And hell, if it gives us another wrestling wedding on screen, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Shows always go off without a hitch.
So anyways, the next piece of news is not WWE related.
Major news, though.
But major news. And I don't know if you guys want to tackle into this first, because I've been doing a lot of the talking, I guess.
Yeah, sure, I can take on this one. But yeah, I guess the big news right now is that concerning TNA, those guys, basically the second biggest wrestling promotion, basically by default. But yeah, obviously, Hogan's been with them for a number of years now, really been doing like more of the behind the scenes, backstage stuff, been in more of a managerial role. But lately, him and the company have not been seeing eye to eye. They've really been on shaky ground. Especially too since his daughter, Brooke Hogan, got let go a couple of months back, and apparently he wasn't really notified of the decision until after the fact. And now that's sort of all, kind of boiling up now.
Yeah, he had those comments too about how they need to take over, they need more money, and they just need to let him and Bischoff kind of do their thing, and they'll bring the company back.
Which I'm not sure if that's the best idea, to be honest, either. because the TNA's got much bigger problems than just that. But the
Yeah.
fact is too is that Hogan's contract is now set to expire this Tuesday, and now it's a big question if he's actually going to bother re-signing with them, because there's a couple of things too that I read in this article. One of which is that I guess right now Hogan is getting paid by TNA some $35,000 for each appearance that he does.
Really?
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking ridiculous when you consider a lot of their guys, and just people in general are behind in their, payments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They can't afford to pay a lot of their people. Meanwhile, Hogan's getting paid, 35 grand an appearance.
And the problem is, like, Hogan, he's not drawing.
No, he's not.
There's he's riding the whole legend thing, which, obviously, he's Hulk Hogan. But still,
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you.
he's doing nothing for that company.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
And he's not worthy of all that money.
Okay. No, he's not anymore. He's just not drawing like he used to.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
If he leaves TNA, he could probably go back to, like, if he re-signs. Okay, here's how it is. If he re-signs with TNA, they're not going to be paying him what they're paying him now. It's going to be like, yeah, we'll re-sign you, but for a reduced amount of money.
I don't see him staying at all.
Yeah,
I don't either.
And then, he could go back to WWE, but, they'll probably just sign him to like a Legends contract of some kind. And again, they're not going to be paying him, what TNA is paying him at all. And those are kind of like his only really two options, It's not like any of the wrestling promotions in, say, Europe, or there's not really any there to begin with. And then there's, he has worked with Ring of Honor in Japan before, but honestly, I don't see them really needing him for anything right now either.
I don't know.
If anything, I could see WWE picking him up. Use him use him to advertise. No, use him to advertise the next WrestleMania.
We don't need we don't need another.
We don't need a Hulk Hogan match. We don't need nothing.
No,
but use
we
them
don't. Sorry,
I could see them bringing him back. Pushing WrestleMania, all this other stuff. But the problem with TNA is that they can't afford to keep him. They're letting good talent go because of their financial situation. And it's just,
I was gonna bring that up because outside of Hulk Hogan, you had Mr. Kennedy or Mr. Anderson in TNA. He got released. Mickey James got released. Like, what do you guys think are the odds that those two could be potentially brought back?
I don't see Mr. Anderson being brought back.
Yeah, because he left on a pretty sour note with WWE to begin with, right?
Yeah. And then he cut that promo in TNA, just like pretty much making fun of all of them.
What about Mickey James? She had a pretty good following in WWE before she left.
I can see them bringing her back,
but
I don't know if they will.
Yeah, that's a thing. It's like, do you honestly think it would help the Divas division?
No.
Well, I think any additional new talent couldn't hurt the Divas division. Right now.
To me,
yeah, true, because Mickey James can work a match. But I don't know. I honestly don't. I think the one person they need to bring back, they need to get Karma back.
Yeah.
Awesome Kong.
Awesome Kong, yeah.
So I think if she were to come back, I recently just watched her shoot interview, the You Shoot interview. And she says she wants to come back, but it'll be
it's up to them.
She's still taking some time too, and
yeah, it's up to them.
I think she needs to come back.
I would be all for that. So that kind of runs down the news for the week.
The most
recent
wild
stuff. I guess the last thing that we want to get to, we can kind of just touch on this briefly, then we can save more of this for the next show. We know Battleground's coming. As of this podcast, it's coming in a week.
Yeah, exactly 1 week from now.
So there's only 3 matches signed to the card. You got Bryan versus Orton for the WWE title, Del Rio versus RVD, and CM Punk versus Ryback. I'm assuming then we're going to see Ziggler Ambrose again. I think the primetime players will be against the Shield against Rollins or Reigns?
Nah, I think it'll probably be the Usos versus the Shield because they are the #1 contenders.
Oh, the
Right?
Usos. I'm sorry, I completely just missed that. But the rest of the card I could just see being filler because this is mainly this is the first.
What's the gimmick behind the battlegrounds
I
thing?
honestly
I don't remember.
I honestly don't know.
I have no idea, to be honest. Like, I'm still struggling to figure out what the point of this pay-per-view is, to be honest.
It's
Like,
a
this is
filler
the first
pay-per-view.
time.
That's
But there's no, the problem is it's filler, but there's no point in having this pay per view when you got Hell in the Cell like a week or two afterwards in the same month.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's
Like honestly, I think this is a one and done pay per view. You'll see it this one time, and you'll never see it again.
yeah.
Like
We'll
that
s-
Capital Punishment pay per view.
Oh yeah.
Capital
Yeah.
punishment.
We'll see how this
Yeah.
goes. We may try and squeeze another podcast in before Battleground. I don't know if that's gonna be easy, but we'll try. If not, then you will definitely have a wrap-up show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we might have a show like probably the night of Battleground, like maybe like right after the show kind of goes off the air. We might have something.
Oh, that might be a good. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea for the next episode. Actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the last thing I wanted to briefly touch on, and we can maybe do this in a few minutes, and we can touch on this in the next episode, is the corporation storyline and Daniel Bryan's chase for the gold is the biggest storyline for the company, and has actually brought a lot of interest back. I'm personally interested. I felt like outside, I mean, there have been a couple episodes of Raw and SmackDown, you just kind of like scratch your head, and you're just like, man, this is bad. This is like typical WWE, but for the most part, I can honestly say since SummerSlam, they've been picking it up. I know there's other articles been written about this and stuff, but like I feel like Triple H and the corporation stable, if you want to call it that, they need more help.
Yeah.
Like the it seems like the Shield,
Randy Orton
the Shield.
featuring the Shield.
Yeah, so it's like, and like I'm pretty sure you guys will agree with me on this. Like, okay, add more players and make everything interesting. This is a storyline that is company wide that could make all the mid carders relevant, so to speak. Back in like the Attitude Era, where people were cheering for the freaking mid carders, man.
They're cheering for the jobbers, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, like they were cheering for everybody. Everybody had like a role. Everybody had kind of a purpose or at least something to do.
So I will just quickly give you some names of guys who I would love to see join this faction, and you guys kind of give me your opinions. Okay, the first one, to me, because this guy has nothing to do, Wade Barrett.
Yeah.
Go.
I forgot about Wade Barrett. Yeah.
Wade, see, exactly.
Wade has. I can't like. It's been a while since we've even seen Wade on TV. To be honest,
You know what? It was the last time I recall seeing him is when he was doing that shaving bit with Daniel Bryan.
Well, yeah, there was that, and then I think him and Bryan had like
They
a
wrestled
match.
on SmackDown, right?
Yeah, the
He's
SmackDown
not-
before SummerSlam.
He's not injured, is he?
I don't think so. I would have to look that up, but that's a guy that has nothing for him right now, and it would be perfect. Cause
Yeah,
his
he's a
gimmick-
great.
His
He's
gimmick is a
insanely
brawler.
talented.
Yeah,
Yeah.
His gimmick is a brawler. He could do Triple H's work for him. So, like, that's a guy that would instantly, get his stock would raise by being involved in the storyline. The next person I think should join this and would be Damian Sandow.
Yeah, I could see Sandow.
Damian Sandow
Yep.
is, regardless of what you think, the guy is a pretty decent in-ring worker, and he cuts pretty good promos for his gimmick.
I like him on the mic. I like him.
I like him.
He's
And-
great on the mic. He's here's what I've always thought about Sandow. To me, he's always been like that classic '80s heel, you know,
exactly.
that like real snobby gimmick, that kind of guy you just love to hate or whatever.
Yeah.
But it just works. He pulls it off like really well.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I mean, you have this guy doing this gimmick, and then, I mean, he's really strong, and he's got the Money in the Bank contract. You never know. Like, I mean, let's say he joins him with the briefcase. Triple H can swerve something, and he pulls the belt. That brings tremendous heat, because like I mean, I know the corporation had the WWE title, but imagine if you had top guys having the belts in the corporation, and you had the faces chasing them again. Kind of like back in the day, it would make things relevant.
Yeah, it would make the corporation look a lot stronger too. Like if they were holding all the belts,
And also too, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt you. If they don't add Sandow, Hell, I'll even admit throwing Del Rio in there. Give him something to do.
Yeah. Del Rio.
The problem with that is like you're getting too many heals. I think
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. But Sandow, I think like could be potentially thrown in there. Now before this whole like, see, and the next person I was thinking like it's kind of like a faction. Like I think that could be if this feud ends. Like I would love to see Paul Heyman in the mix. No.
Just bring back the Nation of Domination.
Damn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, recreate the Nation of Domination with like Big E Langston, and there's another guy too. I'm wondering what the hell happened to Big E.
They could use that guy too in the corporation. That was
Yeah,
actually
Get the
Like,
primetime players.
honestly that was another guy. That was the next person on my list. And this list isn't like in any type of order. These are just guys off the top of my head that I thought. Well, Paul Heyman, because it's just Paul Heyman. He plays a great heel, and it could boost everything. Kind of like when he joined forces with Stephanie and Shane in the Invasion angle in 2001, or was it 2001? No.
It was 2001.
Yeah, like the Invasion angle, like that was cool. By the way, shout outs to Vince for burying DDP. I'm still salty about that.
A lot of people got buried in that angle.
I'm still salty about that.
Honestly, we could devote an entire episode to that angle and how badly it was executed and
Nick,
what they could have done.
You and I could talk about that for hours. We might do
That
that
was
one day.
That was just a mass. That was just a giant mass grave.
Yeah. So, anyways,
it really was for WCW and ECW.
But like those, I feel like those guys are good guys to, throw in the mix. And like, I mean, here's another one that like this would probably not make that much sense, but just think of it. Just hear me out on this one. They don't have anything to do. Why don't you throw the Wyatts in there? Like, let's say.
So the problem is their gimmick doesn't. To me, their gimmick doesn't work well with that.
Like, but let's say Triple H hires them to basically wreak havoc, but he can't control them, and he eventually.
I don't like that.
I mean,
they already got the Shield doing that.
That's
true.
True.
That's the thing. They'd be fulfilling the same role the Shield already is.
Yeah, that's true. That was a bad mistake. But anyways, like the most important, the two off the top of my list is Wade Barrett and Damian Sandow, and hell, the last one would probably be number 3. What if you turned either Cody Rhodes or Goldust?
I could see Cody Rhodes being more of a heel.
But the thing is, like, I don't see Cody Rhodes being the heel because they just turned him face.
But then again, when's that ever stopped WWE?
Yeah. But, like, hear me out. Like, eventually I wouldn't be surprised because the Rhodes family is supposed to be on this edition of Raw the week before the pay-per-view. I would not be surprised if they're on the card. And what if Goldust turns on Cody, joins Triple H, and then we eventually see the match that a lot of people wanted to see after the Royal Rumble last year: Rhodes versus Rhodes, Goldust versus Cody.
That would be so stupid, dude.
What?
No, not the not.
Let's hear about.
No, not the.
The match.
I would eventually like to see Goldust versus Cody.
It's just
because I remember when they went at it at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And that was awesome, but the angle, the angle for one of them to join, all of a sudden join Triple H, and it's.
But it could be just doing it for the job.
That's Big Show's. That's Big Show's.
But here's the thing too,
gimmick right now. He's there because he's doing it for the job. He doesn't want to.
If you remember the promo that Dusty and them and Goldust cut, or that Stephanie and them were doing, they were just like, at least for Goldust, like Steph was after he lost to Orton. It's just like, you failed, you don't get a job. And then look, Dusty, they offered Dusty to choose which son gets a job. You never know. They could pull a swerve like that because it's all about power and it's all about, you got to do what technically is best for business. Yeah. So one of them could actually do it. Look, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's the best angle, but it's a potential angle that they could throw out there. So, anyways, that was just my take on that. I think that's roughly it for the first episode. I mean, we've covered everything, really, that we wanted to cover.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to sort of end it for this week. I think we got just about everything worth talking about.
Yeah, we took care of probably everything that we wanted to do. So, thank you guys, for joining me, Mike and Nick,
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
of course, you guys are part of this podcast,
And don't you forget it.
Yeah, this is our first episode, so to anyone who's listening, feel free to send us a message, what you like, maybe what you didn't like,
Yeah, just
Yeah, feel free to
criticism.
what you want to see. You know, just let us know. It's our
Yeah,
first
well,
show,
I'll put
and we want to keep improving it.
yeah on the in the description of the channel or the video. I'll say I'll put our Twitter accounts. Like we have a no sell Twitter account, but also our personal ones. If you guys want to just catch us on Twitter and ask us questions, feel free. Share this podcast, like the video, all this good stuff, and then we're gonna try to make this a weekly thing. So because we want to keep up with the current news and stuff like that. So
I think this is a good time to point out, though, I don't have a Twitter account, so any insults and criticism you have are basically all going to be directed just at these two, not me. So yeah,
that's fine. I'm used to getting criticism from the fighting game community. So, but yeah, that wraps up for episode 1. So thank you guys, for listening. And just be on the lookout for episode 2. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add to close the show.
No, that's it. See you guys next week.
Okay, sounds good.
yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Peace.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Peace out, guys.
Later.
Later.